Level 1. The Invisible. It is 2 in the morning. You are in a bedroom. The laptop is balanced on a dresser because there is no desk. The recording software is open. The track you finished tonight is the 17th you have recorded this year. You name it Track 17, save it to a folder called Unreleased, and listen back through one earbud so you don't wake anyone. It sounds like something. You don't know what yet. No one has heard any of the 17. No label, no manager, no stranger. Your name exists in the world, but it is not attached to anything that anyone outside this room has chosen to listen to. You are invisible in the specific way that matters most here. Professionally, commercially, industrially, you do not exist. And here is the thing about Level 1 that you will not understand until you are at Level 6. You own everything. Every note, every lyric, every recording, every master, every publishing right. You have signed nothing. You owe nothing. The 17 tracks in the unreleased folder are yours, in a way that nothing you make later will be cleanly, legally, without condition. You don't know this is a form of wealth. It doesn't feel like wealth. It feels like silence. You check the plays on last month's upload. 43. 31 of them are probably you checking. The month before that, 27. You have been doing this for 4 years. You work a day job that has nothing to do with music. You spend the money from the day job on better microphones, on plugins, on the monthly fee for the software that lets you record. The music costs you. It does not pay you. You do this anyway. There is a version of this moment. The 2 AM version, the 1 earbud version, that every person who has ever made it past Level 3 has lived. The ones who made it forgot how free they were here. The ones who didn't make it sometimes stayed here forever and owned everything they ever made, and no one except them ever knew it existed. You save the session file. You close the laptop. You will open it again tomorrow night, after the day job, and you will start Track 18. You own Track 18 already. You just haven't written it yet. Level 2. The Local. Someone calls you an artist for the first time, and it is a stranger, which is the only time it counts. You are at a venue that holds 40 people. 12 showed up. You played for 35 minutes. The set list was written on your phone, and you kept glancing at it, which you vowed you wouldn't do. Afterward, someone you have never met tells you that the 3rd song was the reason they stayed. You remember that sentence for years. The social media numbers are real now. Not large, somewhere between 1,000 and 50,000, depending on the month and whether anything caught, but real in the sense that the people are strangers, which means they chose this without obligation. You have a mailing list. You have a merch table that you carry to shows in a duffel bag. You still own everything. This is still Level 1's version of freedom, just louder. But you can feel the ceiling. 3 companies control approximately 70% of everything the world hears on streaming platforms. Universal Music Group, Sony Music, Warner Music Group. The remaining 30% is split among every independent label, every self-released artist, every bedroom studio in the world. Organic reach without label infrastructure is real, but narrow. The algorithm sees you. It just doesn't push you past the people who already know you exist. You start reading about A&R reps. You read about showcases. You submit to blogs. You get a placement in a playlist with 12,000 followers, and it moves your numbers for 2 weeks and then stops. You do it again. You get a write-up in a local publication, Someone at a regional radio station plays your song once. You tell yourself the ceiling is temporary. You believe this because it has to be true. A man in a blazer comes to the show you play at the venue that holds 40 people. He comes 3 times over the course of 2 months. On the 3rd time, he finds you at the merch table afterward, and he says your name carefully, like he researched it the correct pronunciation, first and last, and hands you a card. He says, "We should talk." You have been waiting for someone to say that for 4 years. Level 3. The Prospect. The studio you are recording in today did not cost you anything. That is new. A producer whose credits you have read 100 times is adjusting levels on the other side of the glass. The label paid for this session. Nothing is signed, nothing is official. The A&R rep, the man from the blazer, calls it a demo session. A chance to hear what you sound like in a real room with real equipment. He says, "We believe in you," in the way that people say things they also mean, but mean transactionally. This is the warmth the system uses, and it is not fake exactly. He does believe in you, in the specific way that someone believes in an investment they haven't made yet. The belief is conditional on what you do with it. You play the session. It goes well. They schedule another. 3 major labels split 70% of global music revenue. To reach the other 30% of the world, the part that isn't already listening, you need infrastructure that costs money you do not have. Radio promotion, playlist placement, publicists, tour support, licensing relationships. The label has all of this. You have the music. The math of the arrangement seems obvious from the outside. You are still unsigned. You can still walk away. You don't walk away. Walking away would mean returning to the ceiling, and you have been at the ceiling for 4 years, and someone is offering you the door. The A&R rep takes you to dinner and explains the vision. He talks about your sound, your trajectory, your market. He uses words like partnership. He does not mention recoupment. He does not mention the packaging deduction. He does not mention cross-collateralization. These are not lies by omission. They are in the contract, which you will receive in a few weeks. You come out of dinner thinking about the producer's studio and the cleared sessions and the way the label machine could carry your music to places it can't reach alone. The offer comes on paper. 47 pages. You read the first 5. Level 4. The Development Deal. The contract is 47 pages. Your lawyer, the entertainment attorney, the A&R rep recommended, says it's standard. You ask what recoupment means. He explains that the label will provide an advance, let's say $40,000. This advance will be recouped entirely from your future royalties before you receive a single dollar from sales or streams. He says this is normal. He says every deal works this way. You ask what your royalty rate will be. Somewhere between 12 and 18% of the sale price, he says, depending on format, territory, and a few other factors, after deductions. You ask what deductions. He lists them. Recording costs charged to your account, marketing expenses, producer advances, a packaging deduction of approximately 15% of the royalty-based standard, he says, an industry holdover from the era of physical CDs, still applied to digital streams and downloads. You do not have a physical product. The deduction remains. Oh, he says the contract also includes a master recording clause. The label owns the recordings. You retain the songwriting copyright, probably, depending on how the publishing is structured, but the recordings themselves belong to them. You sign on page 47. The advance clears into your account. You quit the day job. You move into a better apartment. You spend 3 weeks doing nothing but writing. Because now you have time and space and the label's studio available on a schedule. The A&R rep checks in regularly. He is enthusiastic. He has a vision. 3 companies control 70% of global music. You are now inside one of them. The clock starts the day the advance clears. Not your clock, their clock. Every dollar you spend from the advance, every studio session, every promotional push they run on your behalf, every producer fee charged to your account, all of it accumulates against the threshold you must cross before you earn anything. You don't know the number yet. They haven't told you what it costs to recoup. That is also in the contract. You haven't read all 47 pages. Level 5. The debut. The single is out. You are on the radio. Your name is on Spotify's algorithmic playlists. Your song plays in stores, and you hear it once while you're buying something, and you stand still in the aisle for a moment, and someone asks if you're okay. You are okay. You are more than okay. You are what you spent 4 years in a bedroom trying to become. The royalty statement arrives 6 months after release. It is a 7-page document with the approximate warmth of the tax filing. You read it 3 times, because the number at the bottom does not correspond to anything you expected. The album sold well enough. Streaming numbers are strong. By any public metric, the debut is a success. Here is what the statement says happened to the money. The advance of $40,000 sits at the top as a deduction. Below it, recording cost, studio time, engineer fees, producer advance, all charged to your account. Below that, a marketing allocation, the cost of the radio promotion campaign, the publicist, the playlist placement fees paid by the label on your behalf, recouped from your royalties. Below that, the packaging deduction, 15% of the royalty base applied to digital streams because the contract says so, and the contract is 47 pages, and you signed on page 47. Your royalty rate is 14%. It is applied after all of this. 1 million streams generates approximately $3,000 to $5,000 in gross royalties before the label's share. Under your deal, approximately 80% of that goes to the label. What remains is applied against recoupment. After 6 months of a successful debut, the statement says you still owe the label money. Industry estimates suggest that 80 to 90% of major label releases never fully recoup. The advance is never repaid through royalties. The artist technically remains in debt. Not a debt they must pay back in cash, but a debt that zero floors their earnings indefinitely. The label made money on your debut. You will make money when the label decides you have. Level 6. The working artist. You are on a tour bus. You have been on this bus for 8 months. Oh, the show last night was in a venue that holds 3,000 people. It's sold out. The night before that, same thing. The night before that, a smaller room, but still full, because by now you have the kind of following where full rooms follow you instead of being arranged in advance. The album went gold. You have been on the radio for a year. Your face is in magazines. You call your mother from a hotel room in a city you don't remember the name of. She asks how the shows are going. You tell her about the venues, the crowd sizes, the reviews. She asks again, differently. How much are you making? You don't answer the question. Here is what happened. After 5 years in the music industry, TLC had helped generate an estimated $175 million in revenue. According to their own accounts, they had received approximately 1% of that. In 1995, after selling 14 million copies of Crazy Sexy Cool, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. At the 1996 Grammy Awards, Chili walked to the microphone after accepting Best R&B Album and said, "We've sold 10 million albums worldwide. We're as broke can be." Left Eye followed, "I hope we go down in history as something more than just another famous act that got ripped off." The room laughed. Because in that room, at that moment, the people who knew what TLC's contract looked like understood exactly why the statement was not a joke and said nothing. Under their first record deal, TLC received 56 cents per album sold, split 3 ways. Each member personally earned negative 19 cents per album after deductions. Negative 19 cents. Your royalty statement is different from TLC's. The industry has evolved. The numbers have shifted. But the structure, the advance recouped from royalties, the label profitable before the artist sees a dollar, that structure has not changed. Your album is gold. Your label is profitable on your catalog. You are technically still unrecouped. In the industry, going recouped the moment an artist finally begins earning from royalties is spoken of the way athletes speak of going pro. It happens to some people, eventually, if everything goes right for long enough. You are still not there. The next show is in 48 hours. You get back on the bus. Level 7. The franchise. The tour grossed $40 million. The label received $6 million of it. This is the 360 deal. When the music industry lost physical CD revenue to digital downloads in the early 2000s, labels moved to recapture income from the only thing that still generated reliable cash: the live performance. The 360 deal, formalized across major labels through the 2000s, gives the label a percentage of an artist's revenue from everything beyond recorded music: touring, merchandise, endorsements, acting, brand partnerships, licensing deals with television and film. Typically 15 to 25%, sometimes more. Your tour grossed $40 million because you are now an arena artist. The label's take, off the top, is $8 million. The touring costs, venue fees, crew, equipment, travel come out next. Your personal net from $40 million of gross revenue is lower than the number you would have negotiated for yourself if you had leverage. And you did not have leverage, because the contract was signed at level 4, when the advance felt like evidence of belief. You have multi-platinum records now. Your name sells concert tickets. Your face moves merchandise without you being physically present to sell it. Oh. Under cross-collateralization clauses standard in major label contracts, the label can offset losses from one project against profits from another. Your second album was gold. Your third was platinum. Your first album never recouped. According to the accounting you hired an independent firm to review, which confirmed what it said, you have not yet earned royalties on any of them. A California entertainment litigator named Don Engel once testified before state senators that the intentional underpayment of royalties to all recording artists is a pervasive, consistent policy and practice of record conglomerates that control the worldwide record industry. He called it, in his words, systematic, outright thievery. That testimony is in the public record. The label's lawyers would characterize it differently. Your manager takes 15% of your gross. He has taken 15% since level 4. In the years when you earned nothing from royalties, he took 15% of the advance. He works with 4 other artists at the same label. His relationships there are what make your career function. Everyone in this system is in the system. The only thing worse than being owned by it is being too valuable to leave. Level 8. The Superstar. Your name is on the side of a stadium. Inside the stadium, 50,000 people paid between $100 and $500 each to be here tonight. The gross will be somewhere between $5 and $25 million, depending on the market. The label's 360 clause is still active. The merchandise tables outside have been running since 3 p.m. You have won 6 Grammys. You have had 2 albums debut at #1 in the same calendar year. Your face is used in advertising campaigns for companies that sell things with no relationship to music. The label takes a percentage of that. At this level, you understand something that was not legible at level 4. The catalog is the leverage. You have 10 years of recordings in the label's vault. 10 years of masters they own. If you leave, if you walk away from the deal, attempt to release music independently, or sign with a competing structure, they keep everything you made. They can license your old catalog without your permission. They can release archival recordings. They can put your name on products you don't endorse. Leaving the label means starting over without the music that built your brand. Most artists at level 8 do not leave, not because they lack the desire, but because the cost of departure is the same as the cost of erasure, and they have spent a decade building something they cannot take with them. The system was designed this way, not by conspiracy, exactly by economics. A label invests decades of infrastructure into building an artist's career. Owning the output of that investment is how they protect it. The logic is coherent. The logic does not require malice. It requires a contract signed at level 4 when neither party had equal information. Entertainment litigator Don Engel's testimony describes what happens when artists try to audit the accounting. Most don't. Most sign the next deal quietly, because the alternative is the kind of public fight that costs more than it recovers. Your publicist suggests you not discuss the label contract in interviews. You agree. There is only one level above this. No one arrives there by accident. Most arrive there by war. Level 9. The Icon. You have a choice no one at level 4 told you you would eventually have to make. The choice is this: absorb the system, or fight it publicly, knowing that the fight will cost you years, relationships, and possibly the career infrastructure you spent 15 years building. And knowing that most people who fight this fight lose it quietly. In 1993, Prince walked onto the stage at the MTV Video Music Awards with one word written in black marker on his right cheek: slave. Oh, he was protesting Warner Brothers' ownership of his master recordings, the recordings that his contract prevented him from distributing, licensing, or releasing independently. He was, at that moment, one of the most commercially successful musicians on earth. He was not permitted to own the music he had made while being that. He later changed his legal name to an unpronounceable symbol. He referred to himself, in interviews and in print, as a slave. He released music under a new name to circumvent the contract. He won, eventually, after years. Most artists never make it to level 9. The system does not need you to become an icon. It just needs you to produce. And most artists who sign at level 4 will not produce at the volume or quality or market impact required to accumulate the leverage that level 9 requires. Of those who do reach level 9, most do not fight. They sign a new deal. They take a different kind of advance. They remain inside the structure, because the structure, at this scale, is the only infrastructure capable of delivering them to the audience that knows their name. There is a woman who has sold more concert tickets than almost any performer alive. In 2019, her first 6 albums were sold as master recordings to a company she describes as a hostile buyer, without her knowledge before the transaction. She spent the following 4 years re-recording all 6 albums from scratch. Not to improve them, to own them. She called the re-recorded versions Taylor's versions. The originals remain in circulation, owned by someone else. Both versions exist. The industry generates revenue from both. Prince changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol and called himself a slave. Taylor Swift recorded 6 albums, again, from scratch. Most artists never make it to level 9. And even fewer survive it on their own terms. Level 10. The legacy. You are no longer in the system. The system is still in you. Legacy is the word the industry uses for artists who have passed through all 9 previous levels and emerged on the other side. By age, by death, by legal settlement, or by the slow withdrawal of the commercial machine that needed them. The catalogue still generates revenue. The name still moves merchandise. The masters are still wherever they ended up. When an artist dies, their label contract does not die with them. The estate inherits the obligations. The label retains the masters. Heirs of artists who could not escape the system in life are bound to it after death, and they often inherit not royalties, but the legal fight for them. According to public reporting, Michael Jackson's estate has been in ongoing legal disputes with Sony Music over catalogue rights and royalty accounting for years following his death. Jackson himself once said publicly, "Own your masters." He spent the final chapter of his life unable to fully act on that advice in his own catalogue. The artists who never made it past level 6, whose masters sit quietly in a label's archive, profitable and uncontested, their children and grandchildren receive whatever the accounting says is owed, which is, under cross-collateralization and recoupment structures that have not changed in 50 years, often very little. The contract is still on file. It was signed at level 4, 47 pages. It has outlasted the advance, the debut, the gold record, the Grammys, the arenas, the fight, the legacy. The music will outlast the contract eventually, but the contract will outlast the artist first. At level 10, the system does not need you to produce anymore. It just needs you to have produced. And you did. The person at level 10 has sold more music than any human alive has heard in a lifetime. Oh, the person at level 1 is in a bedroom tonight, finishing track 17. They will save it to a folder called Unreleased and listen back through one earbud. They own it completely. What connects them is not talent, not success, not failure. What connects them is the system that decided the difference between the two and collected a percentage of everything in between. Neither of them chose this. The cycle continues. It is 2 in the morning. You just finished a song. You own it completely. Every note, every recording, every right. You always will, unless someone decides it is worth buying. 3 companies control 70% of everything the world hears. There is a person who has sold more concert tickets than anyone alive on this planet. She does not own the recordings she made when she was 16. 10 levels, 1 system. This is what it actually costs